Okay, so in respect, first of all, I want to just acknowledge in respect, and I know the Minister, because of we went straight into the vote, didn't get a chance to answer my questions in respect of the previous one, so I'm sure he will address them in the next opportunity that he gets to speak to the House, that he might address just some of the specific questions around Amendment 4, which is now, of course, part of the bill, and what its meaning might be. So I'd thank him for that. If you can do that. There's actually, these are almost two different sections of proposals here, so I might talk to one and then I'm just going to talk to the other, but I know they need to be addressed. So in terms of number 11 and 12, these and 13, these really are variations, and in all of these amendments that we're discussing under this grouping, I have tried to put forward a number of variations, because I am trying to work very much, and I appreciate that the department met with me as well to discuss these things, so I'd really appreciate if they might consider if there may be any version of these amendments, 11, 12 or 13, that they may be able to take on board. 11, 12 and 13 are in respect of the annual budgetary process. We know that measures such as, tax measures such as this, the knowledge development amongst the certificate that is issued, which allows companies to pay on research and development 6.25% tax versus 12.5% tax, has potentially a very large value, but it also has a significant cost to the Exchequer. So I think it is very important that we would have information as to the cost of the KDB and in terms of, and these are figures which we know are available from revenue. So in terms of for number 13, for example, I'm literally asking that the Minister would ensure appropriate annual information exchange between the Department of Jobs, Enterprise and Innovation and the Office of Revenue Commissioners in order to facilitate that we would have specific information on the cost of this initiative. And I understand that the cost-benefit analysis may take place within Finance or within the Office of Revenue Commissioners, but what I'm asking in this amendment is the Minister for Jobs, Enterprise and Innovation to ensure that that exchange is happening on that information and that it is made publicly available as part of the annual budgetary process, so we are able to assess, is the cost of this knowledge development box certificate 20 million? Is it 200 million? Is it 2 billion? And how we rank that and set that then against other measures which we may wish to consider, and the potential cost-benefit outcome of other measures. For example, the pressure which I know my colleague has supported, and I have, the idea that we need to be really radically investing in our third-level institutions and our research institutions, particularly our institutes of technology, which are currently deeply underfunded in terms of research. We may wish to be supporting greater partnership for innovation in those areas, especially at a key time of opportunity and change in the world of higher education globally. So again, this is really around ensuring that we can stand over, and all of those who wish to support the KDB can stand over the value it is giving, the cost it is having when we are making decisions at budgetary level. 15, 16 and 17. These again are three variants of the same essential demand, and again I would appreciate if the Minister would indicate whether he may be able to support any of these, because I've again tried to frame this as widely as possible to give as much scope and discretion to the government in respect of it. This is as part of what we've talked about earlier, the action plan for jobs. The fact that we need, as a small nation, to have a joined-up approach in terms of what we do in the areas of enterprise and innovation. And we need to make sure that every major cog in the wheel, especially a cog which has potential significant costs such as the KDB, is fitting in to that wider strategy and that wider picture and the action plan and the kinds of measures the government is claiming to be very committed to in the action plan today. If we have an absolute lacuna of knowledge of where KDB fits into things, if we don't have a joined-up approach, it's hard to track what is happening with our companies and with our investment in enterprise and innovation. What these amendments simply do is they ask that any companies who are applying for the KDB certificate should indicate whether they are in receipt of other grants, subsidies, tax incentives, and or any similar enterprise and research and development supports from a public or semi-state body. I would point out that we are not asking for detail necessarily on what supports, the detail of what supports, the teasing out of where and how they applied for them and the amounts and so forth. This is a very simple request to say whether. Have they received those supports in the past? The second part asks that companies applying for such supports in the future and other enterprise and development supports would indicate if they've previously received the KDB certificate. So it's a two-way measure. And the point in this, it's about joining the dots. So we want to know if companies who are receiving enterprise grants, who we are putting money into, are then going on to deliver research and development, thereby benefiting from the KDB. And I think it will only be valuable to the government to be able to know that if companies go to the Enterprise Ireland or to the IDA and they move into a phase of production, for example, a scaling up of operations, did those companies previously benefit from the KDB certificate? I think it will certainly strengthen the hands of anybody who wants to defend the KDB certificate if they can show a connection between companies whose research and development has been supported and the fact that they are now being supported to move into a period of production. It will make, I believe that information is just, to my mind, very simple and valuable information that allows us to chart the route.